Bombay Steels, J Bancha, Diko Bancha. Pentagon International College, Tinkune, Kathmandu, where excellence prevails. Real, Jamghar jahan real party pack tyahan.
Proud to be associated with Kantipur News.
The new fiscal year 2082-83 BS begins today with the national budget of 1.964 trillion Nepali rupees now in effect. Meanwhile, Nepal's education bill remains stalled, facing key obstacles despite agreement fueling frustration among students, teachers and school administrators. In sports, Nepal's under-20 women's team has secured a dominant victory over Sri Lanka in the SAF Championship, showing strong promise in their second encounter. And finally, a coalition of victims organizations and civil society groups led by Advocacy Forum Nepal has submitted a report on transitional justice to the United Nations Human Rights Council, calling for renewed international attention on conflict-era human rights violations. This and more on Kantipur News. Good evening, I am Aprila Ghising Lama and these are the headlines of the hour. Advocacy Forum-led coalition submits justice report to UN. Nepali victims groups and civil society urge action on conflict-era abuses. Education bill stalls right before passage in committee due to disagreements involving the Education Minister and the Nepali Congress. Students, teachers and school operators prepare nationwide protest. At least 60 people dead due to a fire at a 5-story shopping center in the Iraqi city of Kut. Authorities order a thorough probe into the fire to identify shortcomings and prevent further incidents. And Nepal secures a dominant victory in the SAF Under-20 Women's Championship, defeats Sri Lanka 7-0 in the second encounter. Welcome back. A coalition of 47 victims organizations and 26 civil society groups from Nepal, led by Advocacy Forum Nepal, has jointly submitted a report on transitional justice to the United Nations Human Rights Council. The submission, dated 17 July 2025, is part of Nepal's Universal Periodic Review (UPR) process at the Council's 51st session, scheduled for January-February 2026. The joint submission highlights Nepal's long-standing challenges in addressing human rights violations from the decade-long armed conflict. The report urges international attention on issues like delays in justice, victim repatriation, institutional accountability, and the need for comprehensive legal reforms. Participating groups include families of the disappeared, conflict survivors, and women's rights networks, along with national and international human rights organizations like Amnesty International Nepal, Forum for Women, Law and Development, and Human Rights Organization of Nepal. The coalition calls on the UN and the global community to pressure the Nepali government to fulfill its transitional justice commitments and ensure justice, truth and reparations for thousands of conflict victims still awaiting redress. Now, the education bill in Nepal has been in a limbo, facing significant hurdles despite most issues having been agreed upon. Its passage was halted at the last minute by the Education Committee due to disagreements involving the Education Minister and the Nepali Congress, sparking widespread concern that it might not be enacted this year. A primary point of contention is the Teachers Federation's demand to alter the promotion criteria, seeking as prescribed instead of an average of 90 marks for periodic promotions. Furthermore, the Federation insists that the bill incorporate previous agreements concerning the permanence of temporary teachers, promotions, disciplinary actions, and early childhood development (ECD) staff. While the Nepali Congress denies responsibility for the delay, it underscores the need for a teacher-student friendly bill that satisfies all stakeholders. Adding to the complexities, students are advocating for more teacher appointments through open competition and private school operators, PAPSON, and oppose the mandated 15% for scholarships. Despite assurances from Education Committee Chairperson Amar Bahadur Thapa that the bill will be finalized soon, the ongoing lack of progress and inability to convene meetings cast a shadow of doubt over the education bill's future. Now, on the first day of the new fiscal year, the NEPSE index saw a significant jump with trading volume reaching an 11-month high. Today, the NEPSE index surged by 75.84 points, closing at 2,870.63. Alongside the index, trading volume also increased significantly. Today, shares worth 16.5921 billion Nepali rupees were traded. This is a substantial increase from yesterday's trading of 14.03 billion Nepali rupees, making it the highest trading volume in approximately 11 months. Previously, on August 27th of last year, share trading exceeded 18.5 billion Nepali rupees. All 13 sub-indices saw gains today, with the other subgroup experiencing the largest increase of 5.09%. Sub-indices for hydropower, investment, life insurance, finance, hotels and tourism, manufacturing and processing, microfinance and non-life insurance also rose. Now, the new fiscal year 2082-83 has begun from today, and the national budget presented on Jesta 15 by Finance Minister Bishnu Prasad Paudel, amounting to 1.964 trillion Nepali rupees, has officially come into effect. While last year's economy showed signs of slowdown around this time, gradual improvements are now being observed. A modest rise in consumer demand has led to increased industrial sales and exports. However, experts and investors stress the need to implement budgetary provisions effectively, as the expected level of recovery has yet to be achieved.
In Asar 2081, industries were operating at 35% capacity. That has increased to 50% this year. However, even with this improvement, 50% capacity is not enough to create the needed jobs or stimulate the broader economy. According to government data, sectors such as industry, construction and wholesale retail trade, which showed negative growth over the past 2 years, have now turned positive. The industrial sector, which contracted by 2.02% in the 2080-81 fiscal year, is projected to grow by 3.78% in 2081-82. The construction sector, which saw a 2.2% contraction last year, is expected to grow by 2.21% due to increased import and production of construction materials. The wholesale and retail trade sector, which had shrunk by 0.36%, is projected to rise by 3.30% this year. Despite these signs of progress, ordinary citizens have yet to feel the impact.
तर अब रिसेन्टली हामीले यो जुनको एन्डमा यो डेढ महिना अगाडिको डेटा हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हाम्रो इन्डस्ट्रीहरुको क्यापेसिटी युटिलाइजेसन अलिकति बढेको हामीले पाएका छौं र थोरै भए पनि अलिकति मुभमेन्ट अलिक बढ्न खोजेको हो कि भन्ने चाहिँ भान भएको छ र अहिले यो बजेट र मोनेटरी पोलिसीले पनि थोरै एक्सपेन्सनरी हिसाबले बजारलाई चलायमान गराउने इकोनोमीलाई अलिकति मुभमेन्ट दिने खालको प्रोभिजन्सहरु आएको छ त्यो कारणले पनि अलि हुन सक्छ तर जति हाम्रो सोच हो जति हामीले चाहेका हौ त्यति चाहिँ डेफिनेटली भएको छैन.
Foreign trade data also supports the idea of a gradually improving economy. However, experts say this is still not enough. By Jesta 2082, Nepal had imported goods worth 1.644 trillion rupees, a 13.1% increase from the same period last year. Exports reached 247 billion, which is a significant 77.8% increase. Yet, such modest improvements are far from fulfilling the hopes for development and prosperity. Foreign exchange reserves rose from 2.041 trillion in Asar 2081 to 2.569 trillion by the end of Jesta. Government cash reserves jumped from 93.96 billion to 339 billion rupees in the same period. Out of the targeted revenue collection of 1.419 trillion rupees, the government collected 1.121 trillion, which is 79% of the target by the end of Asar. However, a troubling trend persists. Development spending spikes only in the final month of the fiscal year, which affects quality. Out of 352 billion rupees allocated for development, only 222 billion, which is 63.2%, was spent by Asar 31st, although this was 31 billion rupees higher than the previous year.
अहिलेको इकोनोमिक इन्डिकेटरहरुले अर्थतन्त्र सुधार्नुन्मुख छ भन्ने कुरा देखाउँछ. जस्तो गत सालको हेर्दाखेरि हाम्रो जीडीपी ग्रोथ रेट लगभग 3.87% मात्रै थियो. कि 3टा सेक्टरहरुमा नेगेटिभ ग्रोथ थियो, अर्थतन्त्र चाहिँ रिकभरीको फेजमा जान थालेको भन्ने स्पष्ट चाहिँ यसले संकेत दिन्छ। यसरी हेर्दाखेरि हाम्रो बाह्य क्षेत्र पनि फेरि सुधारोन्मुख छ, यसमा राम्रै छ, तर राजस्वमा अलिकति ग्रोथ रेट कम छ।
Investment climate, a key economic indicator, remains fragile. Despite falling interest rates, loan demand has not picked up as expected, indicating that economic environment is still not conducive. In Asar last year, banks were sitting on around 400 billion in idle funds. That has now climbed to 744 billion. Business leaders argue that credit must flow into productive sectors like industry to stimulate investment.
यसमा चाहिँ अब इमिडिएट सल्युसन भनेको अहिले क्यापिटल मार्केट, रियल स्टेटहरु यसले चाहिँ थोरै भए पनि इकोनोमीलाई अलिअलि चलायमान बनाउँछ, मनिटरी पोलिसीमा पनि आएको छ, बजेटमा पनि त्यसको रिफ्लेक्सन भएको छ। त्यो सँगसँगै रियल सेक्टरमा त्यो क्यापिटल फर्मेसन हुने खालको सेक्टरमा पनि चाहिँ लगानी बढ्नुपर्छ। त्यसले लङ टर्ममा हाम्रो इकोनोमी चाहिँ दरिलो बनाउँछ र त्यसको प्रतिफल दिगो हुन्छ भन्ने हो।
Even though most economic indicators are improving and inflation is declining, lack of loan demand in the market reveals government inaction in fully reviving the economy. To expand the economy, it is crucial to increase consumer purchasing power and stimulate demand. For this, the policy measures outlined in the new budget must be implemented immediately. Yet, while Nepal's leadership has proven adept at policy making, they consistently fall short on execution. With Hem Prasai on camera, a report by Sudhil Pokhrel for Kantipur News, Kathmandu.
It is time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's today's question. Who is responsible for the delay in transitional justice process? Your options are A. Political parties and the government, B. Rights activists and victims, C. Lack of sensitivity, or D. Prefer not to comment. Visit www.kantipurtv.com or www.ekantipur.com to share your opinion with us. Welcome back. Last week, the Madhya province government declared the region a drought-affected area after little to no rainfall during the Nepali month of Ashar, the main rice planting season. Widely known as Nepal's grain basket, Madhya is now facing a severe agricultural crisis. The provincial government has called on the federal government to provide a relief package for farmers as the drought threatens not only the country's goal of rice self-sufficiency but also raises serious concerns about future food security. Experts are now recommending alternative crops as a viable solution.
According to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, only 33% of rice planting has been completed in Madhya so far, compared to 61% during the same period last year. Due to lack of rainfall, rice seedlings in nurseries across all 8 districts of Madhya and parts of Western Tarai are drying up or aging. Farmers are left hoping for rainfall.
बहुत दिक्कत से खेती हो रहल बा, मोटर बा त लाइन ना बा, लाइन हो जाए तो वोल्टेज ना बाजे तो मोटरों से पानी पाटो, तेल किने में तो फिर दिखते बैठे समस्या केहू लगा था काटे के नहीं पड़े था, कर्जा पैसा काट के तेल किन के दमकल चलो हो जारी था, दमकल बिगड़ गए, मिस्त्री बोला के ले ली, मिस्त्री बना लग तले खेत में के पानी सूख गया, अब फिर बनवा के फिर बिना ही से चलो हो जारी दमकल, 3 दिन में 10 कट्टा खेत रोपाई था दमकल चला के,
सूखा घोंसी तो कोई कर दो लग, मैंने साधन नहीं खेत बात ही बा, साधन दी कनो बोरी में हला दी, तो बढ़िया से लोग खेत पटाई बांध पड़े सब हुए हाल बा, पानी के बहुत दिक्कत बा, लोग तो पिए पर पानी आता,
कुने इस्तो सुविधै छैन तो किसान को लागि अहिले मल खाद त्यस्तै हो.
Agriculture experts warn that aged seedlings lead to lower yields. Even if it rains now, they say the rice harvest will likely fall short of last year's output. The root cause, they argue, is the state's failure to ensure irrigation infrastructure. Despite decades of investment since around 1972, year-round irrigation is available to only 33% of arable land, leaving most farmers without access. Even a short dry spell causes significant crop losses. In light of this, experts are recommending the introduction of alternative crops. Planting drought-tolerant crops in areas where rice could not be sown may help protect food security. However, they also caution that the Madhya province government was too quick to declare the region drought-affected without thoroughly assessing alternative options.
सुक्खा क्षेत्र एकैचोटि घोषणा जुन गरिएको छ त्यो चाहिँ धेरै छिटो भयो. यति छिटो सुक्खा क्षेत्र घोषणा गर्नु हुँदैन थियो. हामीले अरू वैकल्पिक कुराहरू चाहिँ के गर्न सकिन्छ, बिउलाई कसरी जोगाउन सकिन्छ भन्ने कुरा गर्नुपर्थ्यो। यदि पानी नै परेन भने चाहिँ वैकल्पिक खेतीको लागि चाहिँ अहिलेलाई चाहिँ खास गरेर केही हरेक बालीको लागि पानी चाहिन्छ, फेरि थोरै भए पनि पानी चाहिन्छ। अब हामीले तरकारी एउटा गर्न सक्छौँ अहिले यो सिजनमा, होइन यो सिजनमा गर्न सक्ने, र 12 महिना मकै हुन्छ आजभोलि, र पूर्वतिर पनि भइरहेकै छ। त्यो मकैलाई हामीले चाहिँ अगाडि सार्न सकिन्छ, तर त्यो वैकल्पिक खेती गर्ने बेला अझै भएको छैन। मलाई सोध्नुहुन्छ भने अहिले चाहिँ हाम्रो बेलै भएको छैन, हामीसँग 1 महिना अझै समय छ धान रोप्नको लागि।
After declaring Madhesh a drought-hit region, the provincial government has requested federal support for relief packages, but so far the federal government remains in a wait-and-see mode. The issue has reached the National Development Problem-Solving Committee chaired by the Prime Minister. Discussions are underway on how to address future climate-induced issues, including expanding deep tube wells and completing pending irrigation projects. However, no decision has been made yet regarding immediate federal support for drought-affected farmers.
विश्वास छ राज्यको तर्फबाट तत्काल सुक्खाग्रस्त घोषणाको समाचार मात्रै होइन, त्यसको व्यवस्थापन कुन ढङ्गबाट गर्न सकिन्छ भनेर राज्यले केही सोच्नुपर्छ र सोचेको पनि छ र सोच्नुपर्छ भन्ने मान्यता म राख्छु।
Meanwhile, the Nepal Agricultural Research Council has developed drought and flood-resistant rice varieties, but these technologies have not reached small or marginalized farmers. With the Tarai Madhesh region receiving almost no rainfall by the end of the month Asar, a drought declaration became inevitable, making it clear the situation demands serious and immediate attention from all sides. With him Prasai on camera and contributions from district correspondents, a report by Suman Pantha for Kantipur News, Kathmandu.
Sports News.
Welcome back. Nepal has once again secured a dominant victory in the SAF Under-20 Women's Championship, defeating Sri Lanka 7-0 in their second encounter. The match held afternoon at Bashundhara Sports Ground in Dhaka, Bangladesh saw Nepal score 4 goals in the first half and add 3 more in the second. For Nepal, Samyam netted 2 goals, while Purnima Rai, Kusum Khatiwada, Sarita Nath and Birsana Chaudhary each contributed 1. Additionally, Nepal benefited from an own goal. Purnima Rai opened the scoring in the 15th minute with a tap-in. Kusum Khatiwada doubled the lead in the 35th minute. Sarita Nath converted a free kick in the 43rd minute to make it 3-0. Just before halftime, in the 45th minute, Kusum Khatiwada's shot deflected off a defender and found the net, giving Nepal a commanding 4-0 lead. In the second half, Birsana Chaudhary converted a penalty in the 67th minute, further extending Nepal's lead. Samyam then scored twice in the 74th and 78th minutes, bringing the score to 7-0. Although Birsana Chaudhary had another penalty saved by the Sri Lankan goalkeeper in the 90th minute, the score remained 7-0. This win mirrors Nepal's 7-0 victory over Sri Lanka in the first match. With this win, Nepal now has 9 points from 4 matches, placing them at the top of the standings. Bangladesh, with 1 less game played, is currently in second place with 9 points from 3 undefeated matches, trailing on goal difference. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.